Welcome in, everyone. This is Pompeii: The Legacy, a new game that I just picked up. I think it's in early access. It's from an indie developer, very small team, maybe just one developer and a couple of friends, it sounds like. Yeah, I mean, it's a Roman city builder based on, ploppable structures, mostly about resource gathering. This is all what I found out, so far when I played through it. Here's me I'm just building out the main center of the city that I'm trying to build. You start off with your marketplace, your city center or whatever, and then plop down, some houses for your workers, and then your other workers that have more money or have any money really, because the lowest class in Roman society had absolutely nothing. The start of the game is a bit slow, but sort of deceptively so. It kind of lulls you into this, you're just going to build some houses and then place some stuff down. But immediately you start to figure out that everything just takes a whole lot of time. Obviously, you can speed everything up, so the gameplay isn't particularly slow unless you get yourself sort of soft-locked waiting for something like I'm doing here. I didn't quite realize how slow everything was going to go because forgot how these games work. All of those things that I'm placing down and everything that I'm queuing up basically gets blocked because the last thing you tell it to do is the thing that all of the citizens are going to go and do. And what I ended up doing is placing a lot of buildings and then going to tell them to work on the ruins. And that kind of blocked me for a little while. It didn't end up really affecting my gameplay, but I had a bit of a time waiting for them. Right now I'm just trying to figure out how to place down a gathering station. This is a gathering station. You want to, I believe, place it near some gatherable trees or something. I just took a guess. And everything that I've seen when I kind of played the game and watched it is that all of the workers go exactly to where the spot that they need to actually gather something from is and then return back. So hopefully I placed it in the right place. I can't tell you, but it seemed to work. So now I'm just kind of waiting and seeing my stuff get built. That's taking a little while. So fast forwarding to when my workers actually had time available to do the work that I assigned them to do. The building actually goes pretty well. I'm going in and out of minimum game speed and maximum game speed. This is the depot. I couldn't really figure out what it was doing, but as far as I can tell, all of the resources either go into the main center hall or a depot. And I don't think I think it's just instant transport between a depot and your depot just has access to the full inventory of the city. As far as I can tell, maybe it's something that will be improved upon later, but I click on the depot and look at its inventory and it always says it's empty, even though there's clearly stuff in it, and I'm watching citizens going and putting stuff in it. But anyways, this is building the middle class homes, I guess. Not really middle class, but not the upper class. So they got two insula. I don't actually know how to pronounce it, and I really don't know a whole lot about the details of Roman history and Roman architecture. I know a little bit about what's going on or what happened in Rome, but not in detail where I can tell you what the different rooms of the houses were. I remember that was part of high school education. I definitely tuned it out. But yeah, all the gathering stations, you just set it and the workers begin to work on it, and you get some resources out of it. Those get taken out to the nearest storage. As far as I can tell, that's correct. And, if you have one of your resource cabins like this a little bit too far out, it'll start to tell you that there are no resources available for it. Some of the buildings for production require things like inputs before they can have outputs, clay. You need clay in order to build pottery. And some of I think the hunter's shack requires some wood every once in a while. So you do need to have your, supply chain distribution somewhere near it so that people aren't walking from the city center when something is needed and it's not actually arriving at the place that it's supposed to go. I don't know how detailed that simulation is. It didn't really give me much visibility into it, but it seemed like if you put a depot on the outskirts of your area, you ended up being okay. So it does take a while to get going in this game. I mean, it's not painfully slow, but if you look at the amount of things you can produce in this game, there's a lot of them. And I played for a couple hours and I probably got just past the basic intro of like getting up to iron. It's not necessarily a slow game, but definitely takes a little while to get to some of the more complicated things where you have various inputs and outputs that are dependent on one another. Most of the buildings that I created up until like the very end of it are just basically, you dig it out and, or it produces something and then that goes into storage, except for the sawmill, which takes logs and outputs planks. And that's the only one at the start of the game that you end up having to worry about. Here's me trying to find a place with a quarry. You obviously got to put it next to a hill with, access, to stone. And that's what I was able to do here after trying to decide for a while. One of the problems that I ended up having with this is that what I just talked about, it took me a while to figure out that I needed to put the depot out there. And a lot of stuff was just kind of hanging and saying that it was waiting for resources in order to get more stone. Eventually, you do need to expand, and that's what I'm doing here, building some of the low-class homes, bottom of the class meter homes. They only get one story. It's just a shack. It's actually not that bad. I mean, if you were to try to purchase this around me today, that's easily $400,000 to $500,000, just for that one little house. Even worse if you go closer to the city. I'm kind of away from it. But yeah, there is a balance that you have to acquire in the game where, citizens will eat food. You need to produce the food. But the lowest class doesn't really make you any money, so you have to have enough of the middle class jobs available and the middle class people available so that you get some money every season or something. And that's the main thing that you have to balance. Well, actually, now that I think about it, it's quite a lot to balance. I'm just very used to these games at this point. I'm used to managing, money and all these different production lines and access and things like that. It's kind of just second nature to me at this point. So when I try to say it all out loud, it's it's quite a lot. Anyways, this is a market. Not exactly sure what the function is, because people can just get food anywhere. I don't know. There's a market where they can buy all of the stuff instead of get it from the main stores or the depots, I guess. And then there's also like a granary, which was specific for food storage. I wish there was a little bit more visibility into where all the productions were going and what function each thing has. But I can just build it because it told me that because it was available, and it, ended up working out quite fine. And no one was unhappy. No one was complaining that they didn't have food. They were complaining that they didn't have food, but I caught it early enough and built some extra stuff earlier on to fix it. So this is the clay pit. This is where you will dig out your clay. It needs to be next to the riverbed because that's where the best clay is. And then that will obviously power the brickworks and the pottery, which I need to build out here. So I think as I look at the number of things available, the space is definitely going to become very limiting. And I think you can build these cities quite large. And it'll be interesting to see how all of these systems begin to play and like break down as you start to scale. Because everything is slow. You're walking. That everything is done through walking. All the workers, they just hike everything everywhere. I don't even know if I have carts. Like I think there are carts maybe somewhere, but I didn't see any. Actually, the only cart I saw was one of those you know, like throne bed things that like 4 people carried one aristocrat on. They have those in this game, but most of the resources are moved by hand or by backpack, and like one at a time and at walking speed. So you need, when these production chains start to get larger, I'm going to imagine that that's going to be more of an issue where things need to go from one spot to another, and you're not going to be able to immediately solve that problem. That's my expectation anyway. So far, it's really just about setting everything up. There's so many things that you can produce, but I haven't really gotten there yet. What I'm at right now is just trying to get clay pottery down. Just a little bit before this, I was being yelled at by my citizens because they didn't have basic goods, because it took a little while to get that going. So there's like some internal timers that kind of, even in sandbox mode, that kind of like push you. Like citizens get a certain amount of, you get started with a certain amount of basic goods, and then those decline over time, and then you need to produce them. So there's a tiny bit of pressure put on from the game. I was slightly behind on it, and they threatened to move out, but they didn't. So they're still here. I didn't run out of workers to power my industrial machine. Towards the end of this, I mean, my city's not looking too bad at all. We started from just one building and have moved up quite a bit from there, building in the brickworks now, which are required for the first upgrade to the town center thingy over there. And I've built just about all of the systems in the earlier parts of the games that I unlocked. There's like a research tree, and you just kind of keep clicking on stuff to get it. You have to spend a little bit of money in order to start the research, and then it progresses and you unlock stuff, and the standard RTS sort of city builder aspect to it. So I'm finishing building the granary, I believe, where I'm going to be able to store a lot of the food for the rest of the citizens. In the back there's the forum where you go to like talk about stuff or whatever, decide on society's problems. But yeah, it's a great game so far. I think that if you're open to early access games, it is a one to consider if you're like really into this sort of genre of ploppable city builders.